All right, folks, so this is my review of my 2021 Ram 1500 Tradesman Classic. All right, so this is a 4th generation Ram, but they kept producing these until I believe 2023, that being last year, in the Classic form, which looks the same as a 4th gen Ram because of the body style, but it is a 2021. The absolute base model. The reason I bought this truck is because when I was deployed last year, and the vehicle that I had downrange was a Ram 1500 Tradesman, and it was, for what it's worth, pretty reliable, and I liked the space in it. It was very useful day to day for everything that we were doing. If I needed to carry anything or tow something, it had plenty of capacity for all of that. And frankly speaking, if you're a regular person like myself, you don't need anything bigger than a 1500. Half-ton truck is plenty. It's plenty of truck. And sometimes it's too much truck. You can hardly park it some places because it is a full size, unlike a Tacoma or a Ranger or any of those mini trucks. Well, those aren't mini trucks, but I think you get the idea. I wanted to put this video together because something happened recently that made me thank myself for purchasing this and not another truck. And I'll explain. So I got involved in a car accident when I was driving my daily driver, which is this Ram 1500. And it was a pretty bad accident if you consider from an external perspective, but there was very little damage to my truck, and the other vehicle, which was a Ford Maverick, involved in the accident, was totaled. And I think that speaks volumes to, this is not a Ram ad, but usually in a situation with basic physics, the heavier vehicle will sustain less damage than the lighter vehicle. That's why when you are riding a motorcycle and you get in a car accident with a 18-wheeler or a semi-truck, it's over, right? So that's also why I stopped riding motorcycles from back in the day. Lessons learned. But this was basically, I think, a case in point that this was the correct truck to buy, that it's also just simply safer having this than some little Ford Maverick, which also barely carries anything, and it has the same probably cargo capacity as like a Civic. So I'm sure it's not, I understand Ford Maverick is a perfectly fine vehicle, but I will say that from personal firsthand experience, the other vehicle in the accident, by luck or whatever circumstance, flipped over, was completely totaled it out. And basically what happened was I was merging into the right lane, and I saw there's enough space in the mirror, checked back, there was enough space, and as I was merging in with my turn signal on, the guy decided to not let me in and sped up. So for those of you that live in Texas, I think you may understand there are some of the worst drivers in the country, probably in the world, that live here. And every day I just pass by probably half a dozen accidents. So basically I was merging in, came up on my right front quarter and impacted my right front quarter, and somehow ended up driving over my front wheel because that was the impact zone, and then proceeded to roll his truck over. And it was basically like a kind of point-on-point impact. So again, being the heavier truck, there was no issue here. So this is not an ad by any means, but I wanted to give you guys that little story time to just go and explain that in that situation, the Ford Maverick lost and the Ram sustained barely any damage. So if you're trying to make an informed decision as a consumer, I think you have your answer for you right there. Also because this is just simply the better truck. The other things I want to touch on briefly, I'll show you guys really quick. I'm gonna turn this camera around. So if you're thinking, okay, like, I don't know if I want to buy a Ram because it's a big truck, you know, it's a half ton. And this is, again, classic Tradesman. It has the V6, what's it called? Pentastar 3.5 or 3.6 liter, give or take, which is in almost every Chrysler / Dodge product. So repairing it's super cheap. And frankly, they've been running it for this many years because it's reliable. Whether or not you like the fact, that doesn't matter, because that is simply the case. And we live in America, or I live in America, so parts are easy to come by for a Dodge, for Ram vehicles. But that being said, this is a big truck, right? You might think the gas mileage is bad, and I talked about this in another video, but if you look at my fuel consumption, put this shit in park. Look at that. Okay, I get over 20 miles to the gallon driving half-ton truck. I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons this is the best daily driver, aside from the fact that because I have, you know, these properties and doing real estate stuff and home improvement, I got to go to Home Depot to put stuff in the truck bed, and that's all fine and well, but you simply cannot complain about the fact that this half-ton truck gets over 20 miles to the gallon. It's 87 octane pump gas, and I drive this normally. Obviously, I'm not flooring it all the time because this isn't like something to do that in, but I just want to point that out for you guys. So other features, I suppose, while we're looking at the interior here, the only criteria I looked for when I was purchasing my truck was that it needed to have Apple CarPlay, which it does. I'm recording this on my phone, so I can't show you guys, but you plug it in and it's connected through my phone to this, and it has Uconnect either 3 or 5. I really don't care. Like, I think simply having Apple CarPlay, that it can project your phone, like the map or whatever, just so I don't have to have my phone up on this. The only reason I have this is to record the video for you guys right now, but normally I don't use this at all, and I have the maps projected here, and this is just as good as any Tesla or any whatever, you know, modern car that has a fancy screen and all this stuff. Simply put, I prefer having mostly like buttons and stuff anyway, just considering that it's better to have physical touch points. Like, come on. My probably least favorite thing about the interior is the fact that there's a gear shift knob, which is in a lot of Ram products, except like, you know, a TRX or something. But this is just really corny to me. But even the one I had on deployment, like, it had the same, you know, garbage or whatever. But the benefit of this also not being 4x4, because I simply don't need 4x4 for my purposes. This truck has a front bench seat, which means I can pull this up and there's a bench in the front, right? Because there's no drive shaft that's like for the powertrain. There's an extra piece that goes along here to make it 4x4. I don't know the terminology. I'm going to get fried in the comment section, I'm sure, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. If you have 4x4, there's going to be something that your center console like extends up, right? But having the bench seat is awesome if you want to have that for other activities. Other parts of the interior are, you know, typical Ram fashion. What I don't like is the steering wheel doesn't have controls for the music, which is a very minor thing, but I could change the, you know, steering wheel to have, you know, changing the music here instead of having to press on the screen or on my phone. But those are little things. Otherwise, the interior is great. Let me just like get out of the seat so you guys can see better the rest of it. But they're not leather seats. This is not a luxury vehicle by any means. I personally prefer the cloth seats because I think they're more comfortable. Especially on a hot day, the cloth seats stay a lot cooler than if you have leather seats. These are not shit stains, okay? This is, when I purchased the vehicle, they sewed something on here, but I don't even know what I'm explaining that. So, the seats are fairly comfortable. I do need to probably detail this. You know, you have a leather little center console situation going on here, but it's very spacious and very comfortable. There's no like tight bolsters. So even if you're a larger human, this is great. No problems. I did the not WeatherTech, it's just like Smart Liner. So you have the rubber sort of floor mat deal. So you can get it dirty, you can get it wet, it's all good. It'll, block out whatever. Then back seats, same deal, very spacious because this is a crew cab, not the extendo clip cab. I don't think it's called extendo clip, but you guys get the idea. This is pretty bare bones, but like, what do you need in a truck? Like, people can still sit comfortably back here. You can lift this up and there's plenty of space for whatever surprises you want to keep under here. I just keep some basic detailing stuff or whatever. That's the back seat. This is only the 5.5 foot bed. I have a plastic liner, or rather, what is this, like a tray bed liner, which I'm personally not a huge fan of. I want to do a spray-in bed liner because I know this is messing up the paint underneath, but for my purposes, this is fine and it works, so no issues there. Tailgate, I can sit on it. Actually, let me do a test for you guys. Do a little test, make sure this works. See if I still got it. So, I would say it works. All right, so, all things considered, this is by far the best vehicle that I have. I think, as you guys know, the fleet currently consists of 4 cars, 3 cars and a truck. I have my 95 M3, my 99 323 IS, my 99 Jaguar XJR, and this, my 21 Ram 1500 Tradesman Classic. A lot of words in there, but basically this is the absolute base trim and it has absolutely everything I need and more. I think it's luxurious enough. It's much more luxurious than anything from the 90s. And simply put, I think Ram interiors are better than Ford or Chevy products within the same generation. If you look at a 4th gen, when the 4th gen Ram was their newest vehicle, you look at the interior of a Silverado or F-150, I think this is years ahead of its time. And if you've ever seen the interior of a TRX or the new Ram RHO and all that stuff, they're making some fancy stuff. But personally, I can't justify spending $100,000 on a truck, because why do you need a $100,000 truck? Like, what if you get in an accident and your $100,000 truck, like you're making mortgage payments on that basically. Also, I don't finance any of my cars, because if I get in an accident or it gets totaled out, I don't have to deal with like being underwater with the loan or like figuring out with the bank or whatever. When I bought this, it was one owner, had 50-ish thousand miles. I've put like 20,000 miles on it since I've had it with absolutely zero issues. Literally, the accident was the only thing that happened that required me to address the alignment. But when it was new, when I purchased it, it was new to me, it was 25,000, and that was last year. When did I buy it? Yeah, when I came back from deployment, I wanted to feel something again, have the same truck I had out there, and this is pretty much it, except it's black, has Apple CarPlay, just a couple more amenities than, the bare bones 4th gen Ram, but yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to sell this truck. It's great. It does everything I needed to do, and I'd recommend anybody that's looking into a 4th gen Ram to get it if you're considering between this and, either a more expensive truck that you definitely don't need, or something that might be smaller and like more economical or whatever. You're going to regret it, okay? Because you're not even going to be able to see over traffic. Living in Texas, at least where I live in Texas, there's every car on the road is a truck. Like when I was living in Hawaii, there were like no trucks. Everybody's a Tacoma basically, which is like essentially a car, I feel like. But being in Texas, everybody's got a lifted F350 or 3500 or something. Everybody's a contractor, but I'm not a contractor, which is why I got a 1500. I think it suits me perfectly, has everything I need. I think I've said that 1,000 times in this video, so I'm gonna stop saying that. But it's a great truck. I can't say enough about it. And I plan on hopefully never selling this thing. You know, if I have kids, I'll let my kids drive this truck if it's still kicking by that time, because I take care of my stuff, and I have no doubt that it'll still be good to go at that time. So I think that's it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys saw rollers in this video, then I was patient enough to try to get those. I do feel like this is a pretty good looking truck when it's moving, but you know, most of these clips are stationary here. I'm making this video for you guys behind this warehouse, empty warehouse. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.